think that black people have to kind of understand that, because you see the problem is that this integration, civil rights, kumbaya, inclusion conversation that we've been having for 40 years, unfortunately, it led us to falsely believe that we're equal partners in this relationship. You know, it's like a marriage, you know, where one partner really thinks that we're equals when really the other partner is controlling the whole show. You know, so it's more like an abusive marriage. So for black people, I think integration and all that's fine, but integration is like any other partnership. You have to properly negotiate your terms, and we didn't negotiate our terms. You know, we burned down everything that we had so we could go jump ship and go be a part of what somebody else had, and that left us powerless and defenseless.
And lots of businesses and communities destroyed that were surviving.
Yes.
Now, there's been enough looting and burning of thriving black communities. One of the byproducts of integration was we really looted and burned our own communities because we left them behind, seeking acceptance elsewhere to the denial of our own economic base.
You know, I'll tell you, I sometimes, Rock, I say something that probably sounds crazy on the surface, ridiculous. People would think I was the biggest, most pathetic black man on earth. And I said to my friend, I said, thank God for racism. And he said, what do you mean by that? You know, that sounds crazy. And I said, well, I thought about my life and all the times where I was called to battle and forced to rise to the occasion and build my own, because I couldn't get what I was looking for, you know, in mainstream society. And I said, if white folks had been nicer to me and gave me whatever I wanted, I never would have become that man.
You wouldn't have self-actualized nearly.
I never would have self-actualized.
Right.
You know, and so I think about that when I think about integration. You know, obviously, you know, during segregation, you know, we had some rights that were taken away from us, or we weren't allowed to have, but it forced us to be together and to work together and to build together. And that actually, at the end of the day, makes you stronger if you approach it with the right perspective. So I think that there's room now for a re-examination of everything that sort of has happened over the last 40 years, not because we're not respectful of what people accomplished at that time, not because they didn't make tremendous sacrifices, and not because there weren't some gains. But if you look at the measures of quality of life in the black community, there is very little evidence I've seen that black quality of life in 2018 is any better than it was 50 years ago. If you look at education, our kids are not better off educated. Even Malcolm Gladwell actually said this. He said integration did not help black kids in the educational system because they don't have black teachers anymore. If you look at economics, the wealth gap is not only not shrinking, it is growing. It is growing. Student loans, things like that, are actually causing it to grow. Half of all black college graduates have defaulted on their student loan debt, which means bad credit, which means many of them are going to die in debt. If you die in debt, then you're not closing the wealth gap, right? So we think that a gap is going to close just because time passes, but it doesn't close if you're standing still or running backward.